Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Empath Sisters. I'm Shelly,
Hi, I'm Bev.
and today we thought we would talk a little bit about anxiety. And
You really
I
approached that one slowly.
yeah, maybe I'm having anxiety. I don't know.
Maybe you
Um,
are. I was like, oh, you're really creeping in slow on that one.
Yeah, for
Aw.
sure. I don't know. I think it's because it's such a big topic with a lot of people, like, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so many people have anxiety and sometimes they don't even know where it's coming from or, they've had
Yeah.
it for, their whole life. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, I don't know, it's that word, right? It's like anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And people just even
Yeah.
hearing the word gives them maybe anxiety or, just
Oh, yeah.
feeling
Words
yeah.
words have vibrations. So,
Mhm.
I do believe that when you hear the word anxiety already, it has that vibration of like,
Yeah,
holding your
exactly.
breath or feeling something in your chest tightening up or
Yeah.
something like that. So, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
for
And
sure.
it just felt like you were already aware of like creeping up to like ease into that word because it can trigger some people,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hearing the word anxiety. So,
Yes,
so yeah, so we're not
exactly.
here to trigger anybody today. We just
Yes,
thought that we
warning.
would talk about anxiety, just because there's actually, different ways of or different reasons why I guess you could be having anxiety. And we just thought maybe we would talk about
Mhm.
that and just give some examples so that, maybe we can just open up your awareness
Right.
as well. So that sometimes when we have awareness, we can, of course, make change. And so maybe the anxiety that you're experiencing, maybe there's something else to that. Or maybe it's actually something else. Maybe it's at certain times or different
Mhm.
places that you're in or things like that. So we just thought, you know what, let's just talk about this. And maybe that will just give you a little bit more insight as to maybe what you're experiencing. So, and yeah, I know like for myself, I don't, I'm trying to think if I even do experience anxiety. Like, I'm not even sure. I can't say that I do anything that, there's not anything that I suffer from anxiety for.
Mhm.
I definitely get an increased jolt of anxiety for sure when I see spiders.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
oh my gosh, which Shelly and I have to tell you about our spider stories that we
Yes.
were discussing last time, actually after we had podcast, and oh
Mhm.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh, just don't even
Yes.
want to think about it. So yeah, I do get anxiety for things like that, but
Mhm.
it's not something that I'm waiting for and carry that anxiety with me on a daily, anticipating, that happening to me or having an encounter.
Right.
So, do you suffer from some anxiety, Shell?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've had anxiety my whole entire life. But when I say that, I feel like it's with certain things, right? Like, of course, I
Mm-hmm.
have anxiety from traumas, and I also have
Right.
anxieties just, and I kind of been aware of this for even through therapy and all the stuff that, I've always kind of had anxiety, even just with my surroundings, like with
Yeah.
even growing up with deaf parents, because I, would feel off of them,
Mm-hmm.
so it would, increase my, um, I guess anxiety, but like I never knew it was anxiety at that time,
Yeah.
it was just something that I was used to. Um, and,
Right.
but then it was also like anxiety of knowing, well, not knowing, I guess, that it wasn't mine either, so I would have all these
Mm-hmm.
mixed different ways of having anxiety in my life. And it's just like, it yeah, it was a lot, and so I think that's
Yeah.
why we wanna talk about it today is because
Mm-hmm.
there are so many different ways of, having anxiety, and like I mentioned
Yeah,
earlier, it can be because you just happen to have anxiety from some traumas, or you can have anxiety from that's not yours, from like, spirit encounters, or
absolutely. Well,
things like
even just
that.
you talking about that,
Mhm.
I would have to say, like, of course, we grew up in the same house.
Right.
So, for me, if I look back in our childhood, for sure, I would say I was
Yes.
more aware and anxious just
Yes.
because, and usually, what I like to say is our lesson here is to learn to be in the present moment.
Correct.
People who live in the past usually
Mhm.
suffer from depression, and
Right.
people who suffer from anxiety tend to be fearful of the unknown or the future. And so
Correct.
they are there all the time, which creates that anxious feeling here today.
Mhm.
Um, so if we can try to release ourselves from either or and just learn to be in the present moment, we shouldn't experience those feelings, which is
Right.
to me kind of tells me like it's almost like when we say be grounded. If you're
Right.
grounded, then you'll know your environment and what else is going on and know that that's not you because you're grounded, you're good.
Right.
So this is something else, right?
Mhm.
And so I kind of look at that as well of like the depression and the anxiety and just trying to be in the present moment. If I'm in the present moment and just moving through it, great. But if I experience something, then I have that awareness of going, okay, well, what is that? What
Yeah.
is this something that is triggering me because I have a fear now because this is something in the future that I'm experiencing. So there's some
Mhm.
stuff in my life right now that is happening where there's things that are unknown. And
Right.
so it is creeping in with that feeling of like, oh gosh,
Well, yeah,
like,
the
I don't
fear
know, what is
base.
it going to
Yeah.
bring?
Mhm.
What's that going to look like? And so, it goes all into your head. And so then it's like, okay, whoa, bring myself back. There's nothing I can do about that, but I
Mhm.
can be here in the present moment and I can just be there for my family and just do what I can now and
Right.
just enjoy the time now that, I'm experiencing. So
Mhm.
it's just when we have that awareness, hopefully, pulling yourself out of it.
Yeah.
um,
Well, and
but
that's
going
the
back to the childhood for us,
mhm.
like I would say definitely, you know, that would be I feel like where it started for us of having those experiences of being anxious for sure.
Yeah.
Our dad, we've mentioned probably many times in our podcast that he was an alcoholic and he was very unpredictable
Yeah.
because we didn't really know what mood he would be in or, you come home from school, you don't know what that's going to be
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
things like that. And so it was so you kind of were on eggshells all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I would say like definitely I had that. And
Yes.
um, and what triggers my memory is even in my younger years and going out to the bar and stuff
Yes.
would be huge trigger for me. I
Mhm.
actually would try to avoid it at all cost because I would be around people who were drinking
Mhm.
and I don't know any of these people. And so that could be very unpredictable and I don't know what could happen. And so that would create anxiety for me.
Yeah.
But I kind of just avoid that scene altogether. So I
Right.
don't really go there.
Yeah.
And I do know for me now in my life, I don't really go out anyway, but if I do, if I go
Yeah.
to like say a concert, I know it's not necessarily like, yes, some people are drinking, but more or less for me there is because the overwhelm of amount of energy from
Right.
all the people and how hyped up they are and
Yes.
all their stuff. And it's like, whoa. And that can make me feel like I'm anxious, but it's
Mhm.
actually, I'm feeling their energy because it's so strong.
Yes.
So I try to also, not attend those. So it's like there's different kinds of
Mhm.
anxiety.
Right. Yep,
Do you
I
have those
agree.
experiences too?
Well, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I was just going to say that, obviously we grew up in the same household. Yes. And yes, we've talked about dad, and, I was the same way.
Yeah.
Anybody that was, drinking, that was, at a bar or anything like that involved alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was super anxious because like you said earlier, makes you feel like they're unpredictable, and they can be, because
Totally.
we know this, but
Yeah.
at the same time, yeah, it would really give me major anxiety, and that's probably most of the reason why I didn't really go to the bar either, because it would just
I
place
know.
me in this bad feeling, right? And
Yeah.
so
Which isn't really a
um
bad thing. I mean,
no, no, it isn't. It's
I
just
didn't
because of
mind
way we
that.
grew up, right?
Yeah,
Like, it has nothing
totally.
to do, like, I'm obviously much better than I was when I was younger, but at the
Of
same time, like,
course.
I do remember, yeah, feeling that way where you're just like, "No way, I'm
Mhm.
not putting myself in that position," because it felt too scary, like
Yeah,
that feeling.
of
Um,
course.
but
Well,
I've
and that's just
also
because we've learned our trigger. We've
yes.
learned that alcohol is a trigger
Mhm.
and the setting is a trigger because
Right.
that's what people are doing is consuming alcohol at this
Mhm.
location. So
Yeah.
when you become aware of what the trigger is, it then that can really help you
Yeah,
in
for
dealing with
sure.
your anxiety,
Mhm.
and I just basically avoided all of that until I got older, where it
Yes.
was like, yeah, I could go today.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be so anxious, but I would be like, I don't know, like I would still feel it, but I don't think it would just cause me so much anxiety that I couldn't handle being there as I would
Right.
have before,
Yes. Yeah.
because I've
Where
learned to manage it.
yeah, I was just gonna say where, like, for me, like, I have over the years have said, "It's okay for people to have drinks." You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
had to break the association of alcoholic to social drinking.
Social. Oh, definitely. That was something I had to learn in counseling, because it was
Yeah.
like any person that would have one drink, I'd be like, they're an alcoholic,
Right.
or I can count their drinks, right? And be like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, but that's just because we did that as kids. It
That's
was
right.
like, okay, one, two, we started to know markers, right?
Yeah.
When did it go really bad, right? So it has nothing
Well,
to do with anybody else,
and
but it
I
was just that's
yeah.
what
Like,
we
for
experienced. That's
our
part of
case,
that
it was
trauma.
way I think in our case, it was a lot different.
No,
Um,
for sure.
um,
Maybe others have experienced that
yeah,
too,
like,
in their childhood.
unfortunately, like, yes, it would be we would count drinks, but it was almost like you said, when we'd come home from school, we would never know how much he actually drank all day, right? And
Mhm.
so,
Yep.
we kinda and this might sound I don't know. Sorry, dad, if I'm offending, but like, it was to the point where we were like, how many bottles, right? And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it was very,
Yeah.
a lot then, right? For
Yeah,
us to come home to see how much was left in the bottle. That's how
exactly.
would kind of judge how much he had that
What the
day
setting
or
would be like, or the
yes.
mood, or
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
And
that would say, like, we were functioning anxious children. You know
yeah,
what I
we
mean? Like
were.
that was like the daily that we had to go through and
Yeah,
try to manage on our own.
correct.
Also, being I want to also mention that even sometimes anxiety
Hmm.
can be labeled anxiety, but it can actually just be that you're really sensitive.
Right.
As I was saying, like going to concerts and stuff,
Hmm.
being sensitive to other people's energy.
Yes.
And we also had that in our
Yep.
household. So
Yeah,
because
we
we
did.
were intuitive and we were very heightened. Um,
Mhm.
and we did see spirit, and
Yeah,
we did deal with that on top of
that.
that. So,
Yeah.
it's no wonder I am working through all these health things. This has been a journey of like getting
Mhm.
all of that stuff out of my body. But yeah, I would say like I was a functioning anxious child
Yep.
for sure.
We all were. You, me,
Yeah,
and Keith. We
totally.
we were totally we had to be in that state, right? All
Yeah,
the
and that was
time.
just like survival,
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
just the way we survived. And
Mhm.
as we get older now, like I would say that I'm not a I don't have anxiety every day. I now
No.
know my
Mhm.
triggers,
Yep.
and okay, spirits coming in, or okay, whoa, way too much energy here, or oh,
Yes.
I don't like the feel of this place I just stepped into,
That's right.
or to oh my God, there's this situation that's happening that's like very unknown, unpredictable. I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh, it's causing me to be
Yeah.
anxious. And
Yep.
that's just because that fear of the unknown of the future. So definitely myself, I can go through those different waves of
Mhm.
having anxiety. And
Absolutely.
so I just thought it would be so important to talk about that, just to bring awareness to other people. And some people are dealing with, are functioning
Mm,
anxious people every
that's right.
day.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do in this conversation was like open up your awareness even more so that you can look around your environment and
Mhm.
see, are these triggers? What
Yeah.
are the triggers? Is it because
Mhm.
of where I'm going? Is it the people that I'm around? Am I
Yeah.
highly intuitive? Am I super sensitive to spirit?
Mhm.
Are spirits
Yep.
contacting me every day?
Yep.
It's like, what could this be? Because I've had so many clients come to see me as well who think they are actually crazy
Yeah.
because they are anxious every single day, but they are super gifted and really, really super heightened and
Mhm.
really sensitive.
Yeah.
And everything that they're feeling every single day, they don't even know that they're tapping into other people's like energy and
That's
they're
right.
feeling it and it's
Mhm.
overwhelming and it makes them sick or whatever. And they just think like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like, they just think they'll say that to me. They'll be like, "I think I'm crazy." Like, they'll
Yeah.
whisper it because they're just like, they're
Mhm.
so scared to tell you. And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, no, you're
Mhm.
not crazy." Some of them just like, "Oh my gosh, you are just so gifted.
Yeah.
You have no idea." And of
Mhm.
course, those are the people I really love to work with because I'm like, "Let me just open this up for you." And
Yeah.
so you can see that you're
Yeah.
normal, just like everybody else, right?
Yes. Mhm.
But, yeah, and, even for like oh, yeah, actually, Shelly had an experience,
I
I
did, yeah.
remember
Yeah, I
years
did.
ago,
Mhm.
with feeling overwhelmed.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh. So, I don't know if we've talked about this before. I can't remember
I
every
can't remember
episode
either.
that we talk about stuff, but, um, yeah, I love to go to, like, antique stores and all those
Right.
things, and one of them can be Value Village. Like, I actually don't mind going there because they have
It
some
can be
cool
fun.
stuff.
Yeah.
But this particular day that I went to a Value Village and
Let's just back it up, like, just a
okay,
second.
okay.
Shelly was already experiencing anxiety.
Yes, yeah, I
Like
was because I had, before that, I did have my traumatic thing happen to me,
mhm,
and, I also ended up having another traumatic thing happen to me anyway, in my own sense was I also had a car accident, and
mhm.
so, I was already dealing with, anxieties with that
Yeah,
before I went into
yeah.
this part of it. And
So you were basically anxious anyway,
yes, I was
on the
anxious.
daily
Oh,
and
yeah, for
and
sure.
and not really necessarily sure really what all the triggers were, you were just feeling
Yeah,
anxious.
that's right.
So I
Yeah.
just wanted to like set the
Yeah.
scene so that there's like that difference that I want everyone
Yeah.
to kind of understand.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure.
okay, carry on.
Yeah,
So
so I really was feeling like in some sorts like not myself.
yeah,
And yeah, so I decided one day because I was really just feeling like I needed to go do something for myself. And a lot of times that
and she
is
chooses Value Village.
I
Now
know.
looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh. But you know what? This is how it goes, right? This is how
Yeah.
you learn. Spirit will push you into these
Yeah.
experiences for a
Mhm.
reason. So,
Yeah,
but
and
yes,
so
Shelley gets guided to go into Value
yeah.
Village for
A
herself.
lot of times like I said earlier, I find serenity, solace, whatever you wanna call it, to go to, like, places that have high energy for some reason. I just do. Like I
Yeah.
said earlier, I love cemeteries. It's the same kind of thing. Antique shops and all this. But anyway, this particular day, I decide I'm going to go to this Value Village,
Yeah.
and and it's funny because I was feeling very like yes anxious, but I was feeling like oh this is awesome. I can't wait to go in there because I'm just going to look around, and all this kind of stuff. I walk in and it's like it's hard to explain, like, how it really felt at first, because And like I didn't what I'm trying to say is that when I walked in, I didn't realize how much it was the energy when I
Mhm.
went in.
Right.
So, I mean,
Well, because
obviously
you
I
were
do know
already
now, right?
anxious,
Yeah,
like
and
you're
so
normal anxious, I would
yeah,
say. And
mhm,
then going in and not realizing like that there is another magnitude of energy that you're stepping
right.
into.
Yeah. So I remember walking in and honest to God, it felt like I hit a brick wall. Like it was so
Hello.
yeah,
That's what I'm
like
talking about.
yeah,
That
like
I
it
can't do.
really felt right away I was walking into like sludge. Like it was
Yeah.
so heavy and thick.
So
And
if
I
anyone else has
remember
felt that, that's energy. Okay.
mhm.
Like a
Yeah.
tsunami of energy. Okay. When you feel like it's so heavy or you hit a brick wall, just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like, again, at this point, I don't I know I feel it, but I don't
Yeah.
realize it, you know?
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
excited because I wanna go in and do this thing for myself is what I'm thinking in my head. And, I remember feeling that and thinking, "Whoa," like, "Geez," you know, like, I didn't
So your
expect
spidey senses were like, okay, wait a minute.
yeah. So
Something's a little different here.
yeah, and so I'm, like, walking down each kind of, like, rack, aisles, whatever,
Yeah.
and just, being honestly, like, in La La Land,
Yeah.
honestly, like, in La La Land because I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, this looks cool, this is," you know? And I get to this part where, I found a couple cool items.
Yeah.
And then I decide to go over to where they keep, like all your dishes and all the little trinkets,
The
right?
knickknacks. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Hmm.
remember walking through those and thinking, wow, like that's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think I'm going to go and try on this. Like this, I can't remember if it was just a couple like shirts or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, okay, I'll go and try them on." So I go into the change room, and honest to God, that's
And
when
she's laughing because it was funny, really, what she
it
was
was funny,
experiencing.
but it wasn't at the
But it
time.
wasn't.
It
No.
really wasn't. I'm laughing because I know what happened. It's just that at that moment, I had
Yeah.
no idea what was happening. So I
No,
walked
she did
in,
not.
like, I'm gonna set the scene. So I walked into the change room, shut the door, hung the stuff, and I started to undress.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I could feel this like energy that I can't explain. It was so different than what I normally felt. So, like,
Right.
when I would have anxiety, it would just
With
come
your
up or
normal.
whatever. And I'd be like, okay, but this was like, it hit me fast. And I
Yeah.
remember standing there going, what the hell is the matter with me? Like, I started to feel like I thought I was going to, first of all, I thought I was going to pass out. Like, that's how
Mm.
much anxiety I had. It was so
0
powerful.
like to 100, 15 to
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. I thought I
Yeah.
was going to pass out. And that even made me more anxious because
Yeah.
I already have issues with my my own body, so I was thinking,
Right.
"Oh my god, like, what is wrong with me?
Don't you
Like, why
dare.
am I going into this state?" And my heart rate is racing, I'm, like, standing there, like, almost and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but it almost felt like I thought I was having, like, a hot flash, it was just so
Just this
boom.
rush of temperature
Yeah,
change,
yeah,
anxiety. So you're feeling it
and
in the physical for sure.
oh, absolutely
Yeah.
felt it
Which
in
the
the
physical
physical.
will do that. It will produce symptoms.
Yeah,
That's,
and, I remember looking in the mirror because there's a mirror in the change room, and I go like
yeah.
this. I remember going, like, real close to the mirror and going, "What
Leaning
the
in.
hell is the matter with you? Get it together!" Like, almost,
It's
like,
a
slap
pep
myself
talk.
because I was like, "What is wrong with you?" I thought I was going into a full-on panic attack,
Yeah.
and it scared me so much that I actually, um started to quickly get back dressed,
Hmm.
and I I took all the stuff that was in my, like, room, in the change room, and I just
Yeah.
basically threw it on the rack.
I'm out of here.
I literally was like, "I'm out of here." And
Yeah.
I did. I left and I ran to the car, and I remember sitting in the car thinking, "Oh my god, if there's something gonna happen to me,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna find me in my car." So,
I
I
know it's
remember.
not funny, but it's
It's
funny
no,
now.
it's funny now. At the time, it wasn't.
Sorry.
I was, like, in full
She was
on.
freaking out.
I was, and I
Yeah, I remember
phoned
because then you
Bev.
called me.
Yeah, I phoned Bev, and I was freaking out. I'm like, "I don't know what's wrong with me." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Something happened to me," and I explained the whole situation,
And I
and
make it all so, like, nonchalant. "Well, no wonder you feel this way." We went to Value Village, like, oh, at that moment with my sister, I just wanted to be like, "What is the matter with you?"
and
and
it was
shake
like
her.
that. It was like, "What is the matter with you?"
It was like,
Oh.
you're anxious already, and then you go to Value Village, but I think at that time
Mhm.
you hadn't really experienced that or had that
Well,
awareness yet that
yeah,
that can happen or what
right.
those places can hold.
Mhm.
And
Well, and
I
then
was
when your
like,
vibration
"Oh,
is down like that, of course they're gonna come in, and
totally."
so I just remember freaking out, and she's like, "It's okay," and, like, we
Yeah,
went through the medical stuff, the physical first just to make sure that I was okay.
for sure. We had to calm her down first.
Yeah, needed to calm
Yes.
down, and once we did that and, we kinda went through it, and yeah, Bev was just, like, basically saying, "Well, Shelly, you went to Value Village, what do you expect? You're gonna get all these energies," and then it dawned on me after
Yeah.
that, right? So then it really, like, clicked in my head going, "Well, geez, yeah," then I realized, "Oh, yeah, when I first walked in, I could feel it."
Yeah.
All that kinda stuff, and then I realized at the time, like, I think it was after we hung up or maybe when we were talking, I don't remember, but I do remember what happened in that room,
Mhm.
and it actually was spirit that did come through,
Yeah.
and it was a male, and right away, like, he showed himself to me, but I was in so much, um, denial and anxiety of thinking it was my physical self, not realizing
Totally. I
that
think
this
just
was
more in
spirit.
your head,
Yeah,
right? Like, just
yeah,
like, "Ah, why am I doing this? Why am I going through this? What's going
yes,
on?" Right? And just,
yeah,
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 not having that awareness going like, "No, I was okay.
yes.
What does the spirit want?" It was more like,
Yeah, yeah,
he's like,
and
"Oh."
that's exactly what happened. It
Yeah.
it was so fast that, the spirit just really was like, "Oh my gosh, there's somebody here that actually I can connect with," basically,
Yeah, totally.
and, oh my god, it was so powerful. It really
Yeah.
was, and from that day on, that's basically how it happens for me. I get very especially strong ones, when
Yeah.
it's strong like that, I don't know if some of you listening who have come to see Bev and I in person or anything like that, but it does get to the point where I get super, super overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
will get very like, the anxiety will be very high. The vibration is so high, I will get emotional. I will start getting
Yeah,
like
it's
I did
almost
in
like
that
it
in
triggers
that
you
room. Yeah.
in
Uh,
an anxiety way.
mhm.
It just
Yeah.
like brings that flooding emotion feeling. It's like really, for me, I breathe. I'm just like,
Yes.
I breathe very
I know when you do.
deeply
Yeah.
and exhale. And most people that know me or hang out with me do know that
Yeah.
they'll be like, even my husband, we'll watch a movie and I'll be like,
Mhm. Yep.
when he goes, "Who's here?"
Yep. I know.
I'm like,
I'll be
I
like,
know.
"Yeah, who are you connecting with?" Yeah, and
Exactly. But for
everybody
me,
is
it
so
just feels
different.
like in and
Mhm.
out. Like, I mean, I'm so used to it, and that's how spirit connects with me. I still will
Yes.
feel that little bit of anxiety that I feel the energy change around me. I can feel
Right.
temperature change. So like, but it doesn't, it's very, I would like to say very select
Yes.
spirits will cause that like whoa
Right. Oh,
feeling, right?
yes.
Depending on, I think for me, it would be what they went through.
Yes.
or why they need to come through, like if it's super urgent or
Mhm.
whatever, right? So if it's really intense, that then it will be intense. But other than
Yeah.
that, they're just like, hello,
Yeah.
goodbye,
Yeah.
on
Mhm.
this like regular, but
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and, like, over the years, I've learned that, of course, too,
yeah.
um, and it is like that, but for me, it yeah, they come in pretty fast for me for some reason. I don't know why, it's just how I connect with them, and, they will show me obviously that way, but
Hmm.
I have had other people, like you said, that will
Yeah.
just come in and they'll be like, "Hi, I just wanna say this,"
So
or
gentle.
whatever, right?
Like
But
they
there
knocked on the
are
door
energies that are super strong, and when they come in for
for
me,
sure.
it is like an anxiety attack or whatever you wanna call it, or a panic attack
Hmm.
or, like, overwhelming feeling of that for me, and it gets oof.
And I just want to point out that that is also the intensity that you're feeling
Yeah.
is, I just want our listeners to know that it is still different if because those spirits that are coming and she's feeling that intensity almost as if it's a panic attack coming
Mhm.
on,
Mhm.
that these are still spirits that are from the other side.
Right.
So that these are not lower vibrational energy
Right.
that
Yeah.
is causing you to have that. However,
Right.
some can give you that feeling, but you would know it's not good.
Right.
You will just,
Yeah.
I swear, you will
Yep.
just know it's like, oh my God. It
Oh,
just gives you
yes.
that feeling of like, WTF.
Yep. You can say it if you need to,
So
but it
I just
is.
wanted to like put that out there as well. So would you say, Shelly, now that since you had that experience way back then in Valley Village,
Yep.
did you find that after the fact, you all of a sudden, once you had the awareness and then it all came to you, that you started to have many other aha moments that like they would show you, like, do you remember you had this experience or this experience? Oh, this could have been spirit at that time. Do you
Probably.
remember
I
going
don't
through that?
remember, I don't,
Okay.
but I think, it's so funny you say that because I don't know
Is
if
it really funny?
well,
Just
I know,
kidding.
right?
I know.
I know, because I will have to say, like, I don't know about you, but for me, like,
Hmm.
I find when I am it's like now, maybe not back then because I was still kind of even though I could encounter, we saw spirits, we, did the whole thing
Hmm.
when we've been growing up and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me at that time, I was still in that learning process and I
Right.
never had those like, I don't remember or recall me doing
Right.
that. But now that fast forward where I'm here now,
Hmm.
to be honest, I still don't really have the aha, but I do have moments of like, once I've connected with someone
Hmm.
and they leave, I don't
Hmm.
remember them again. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I don't have those moments of like and I feel bad because sometimes if I have a repeat client, they'll say something to me and I'll go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I don't remember because
Yeah.
when I'm finished, Excuse
Yeah,
me.
for sure.
And, um, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I put it out there where it's like, uh, when I am done, I'm done,
Yeah.
or whatever it is because I think that's why a lot of times I don't remember until like either I'm in the moment or we're, talking about it
Yeah.
sometimes I will come back, but I don't remember having like, like I know I've
Yeah.
had them.
Yeah.
I just don't
Totally.
remember them.
Don't remember going back there. That's okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I
Yeah.
know, like when I'm teaching, for some of my students, like when, as I'm going through and they get to experience,
Yeah.
they will have aha moments of like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah. Like
this
I
experience
know
I had was this or it was that. And so I
yeah.
just was wondering if it was like that for you.
Well, yes, for that, for sure.
Yeah.
Because that like I said, after we had talked that day,
Hmm.
I do remember thinking, "Oh my god, yeah," like when I walked in,
Right.
I felt that like, whoa, you know,
That wave.
that big brick wall of like of energy, right? So
Yeah.
and yes, in retrospect, yes, I would have those aha moments. It's just that
Hmm.
I think a lot of times, I don't know. And I said this before, like, I
Yeah.
swear to God, I'm a true airhead. Honest to God.
I was just gonna say, maybe that brick wall you felt when you walked in, they were like, no.
I
Do not
know,
come
but
in
I
here
don't listen to those
because you're
things.
gonna have an experience. You should not be in here, Shelly.
I
Shelly's like,
know.
la 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 la. Just in
This
her
is why
world.
I
It's
said
totally you. I
earlier.
could just, it's like almost like they're just showing that to me. Like, we made her feel a brick wall. She felt it, but she continued on. It's like literally what I'm hearing.
I'm sorry,
And
I
then I
can't
can just
stop
see you
laughing.
just having so much fun. Oh,
I can't stop laughing because
but that is
seriously,
so typically you,
I
you know?
know. That's
Like
why
I'm
I
just
said
like, oh, yeah,
that's
that
why I
makes
said
sense.
that's why I said earlier, I'm a freaking true airhead.
I know.
Honest
And
to
this is why
God.
when you called me, I was like, Shelly was freaking out. And I was like, oh, it's so clear to me. Like, you went to Valley Village. What would you do that for? But she's like, I don't know. I like going there. It's fun. I'm like, see, not always so fun, right? Like,
I'm laughing so hard, I'm
I
crying.
know.
It's just like, oh God.
Oh my gosh. So funny. That is truly Shelly, everybody.
Yes.
That is true Shelly
Oh,
right
it
there
is so
in a
me, and that's
nutshell.
why I said a lot of times I don't, it's not, it's something that I just don't, and that's probably why I have troubles grounding stuff.
Shelly has to learn the balance. She's a Libra, so she has to try to find balance. So in order for her to experience things, she has to go from one end of the spectrum to the other in order to know where the balance is.
Oh, it's
But
so
that's good.
true.
That's how you learn.
Hmm.
That's how you learn.
And I do learn that's exactly how I learn, but at the same time, I always have to learn the hard way.
Oh, totally. It's like I'm even thinking like, are you absorbing other people's energy that just loves to go to Valley Village? And you're like, yeah, I want to go Valley Village too. And they're like, no, stop, don't go. Oh my gosh,
Seriously though,
so
I
funny.
swear that, well, like you
Shelly
just
just
said,
has a hard time making decisions. She just like, what are you
I
doing?
just go
Why do
with
you like that?
whoever.
Yeah, I think I like that too. It's so cute. I
I
love it.
know. Yeah, and it is true. Like, I could drive by one and I'd be like,
Hmm.
"Ooh, I could."
I love your face. If anyone watches the YouTube one, oh my gosh, she was like, ooh, totally like squirreled way off. She was like,
Yes. And it's true though. Like,
yeah,
I can't help it. And like even this summer, for example, when we
yeah,
were away, we were on the East Coast, and
yeah,
there's like, oh my God, tons and tons of like cemeteries that are like super old. And I and we'd be
yeah. It
driving
feels very
along
like
and
haunted over there.
yeah, and I'd be like, we'd be driving along and I'm like, oh yeah, I would love to go there. And my friend Angela
Yeah.
sent me a thing that they're having a like a ghost walk at one of the cemeteries, and she was like,
Oh,
"Ooh,
cool.
Shelley," she's like, "This is something that you would like."
So for you. That's what
And
you
I'm
should
like,
do, Shelly. Why don't you just put on a thing, a little event, ghost walk at the
I know,
cemetery.
right?
Come on down.
Seriously. Oh my
Let's go
God.
have
I would
some
love
fun. You would love that.
I would love
I
that.
probably wouldn't join you. I'd be
I
like,
told Angela that. I said I would do that. And then her husband was like, "Oh, Hell, no, no, no."
yeah,
Oh my God.
definitely not. I mean, it
But
doesn't scare me. I just am
no.
like, meh,
No, it doesn't scare me
I
at
think it's a nice
all.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
it's
said.
really peaceful, honestly.
Mhm,
I don't
and
think it's
yep,
so,
no,
I don't know. It is an overwhelm, but I mean, they're not all
absolutely.
just hanging out there, people. Like
No,
they're
I
they're
mean,
they're laid to rest there, but it's not like they
yes.
just their soul just stays there
No,
and
no,
waits. So it's
no.
not just this whole place full of energy where you would
Right.
like go to a concert where there's like
Yes.
everybody's energy.
Yes.
So, but you will feel like if you're some linger there
Mm-hmm.
and some know that their people are coming and so
Yeah.
they'll be there.
Yeah.
And so that might be
Yep.
what you feel when you go there
When you
or
go.
lost
Yep.
ones, right? Some are
Yep.
just lost.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client that
The
came to see
yeah.
me and had an experience like that. She went, I think, to Newfoundland or somewhere, Nova Scotia, somewhere, went to a cemetery and also
Mm-hmm.
had a little girl that just was by herself. And she
Yeah.
was like, I want to come
Mm-hmm.
with you. And she was like, but you can. I live in Saskatchewan. Like you can't come with me. It was so
Sorry.
cute.
Sorry.
It was so
I
sweet.
get it. Yeah.
And she just knew she had to take her like
Mm-hmm.
back,
Yep.
and she did. And it was so beautiful. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Yep.
does happen.
It does. Even
Yeah.
I can same thing happened to me, but this was at an
Yeah.
antique shop in
Yeah.
southern
Exactly.
Alberta. We went to this like right away. Yes, I know. I already even have the heebie-jeebies coming up my leg because they're already telling me like, you remember that day.
Yes.
And I do. And maybe this is my aha moment,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember going to this place and I remember saying to Dwayne, okay, I'll go in with you for a little bit, but if I start to get a little bit overwhelmed, we gotta go. And he's like,
Right.
okay. So we go in, and this place is packed full of antiques.
Oh,
Like
I can
I'm
already feel
talking,
it in my chest. I'm just
yes.
like,
And
whoa.
the building itself is
Yeah.
very old, and
Oh, okay.
the building itself used to be the lady told me that it used to be like uh it was
Oh,
for like the army,
chills.
like yeah, like a long
Chills through
time
my
ago they
body.
would like it was like a I forget what they called them, those type of houses, but they would
Like a
house
barrack?
not a
No.
barrack, but they would
Okay.
have like renters, but they were all soldiers basically, or like that would come home and they would live in these apartments. So they had little apartments up at the top and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. So it's kind of
And
like a little base, like where they used to house
yeah, I
their.
can't remember. She had a word for it, and I thought, oh
Okay.
wow. I was like, that's like it was cool.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so anyway, this whole building was full of like antiques. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking packed. Like you
Yeah.
had to like really walk around and you would be like touching a lot of the stuff because it's just that packed.
Oh
So anyway, I
gosh.
remember walking
Yikes.
in, and we went in, and I kind of just did like a little fast tour around on the main thing. And then I thought, well, I'll go quickly upstairs. So I went upstairs and I started to feel vertigo right away. And I was like,
Oh
oh my
God.
God. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. Right. And here's Dwayne. He's just looking around like,
Yeah.
he's like,
I
and
know.
I go,
Like
I'm like, do you not feel
walk
that?
in the
Yeah,
park.
he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, never mind. I gotta go down. So I leave, I go down, and then the lady says, "Oh, we have more stuff in the basement." And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Okay, I don't particularly like basements in older houses."
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, me
I
either.
was like, "Okay, it didn't look bad or anything." So I went down.
Sure, why not? We'll
Yeah,
try it out.
of course. And so I walked downstairs, and I like there's again, but in the basement there was more like your your like hardware stuff, like men's stuff,
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
old saws or old tools or old,
Oh, okay.
that
Yep.
kind of stuff was down there.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I see Dwayne. He comes down the stairs.
Yeah.
And as soon as he came down the stairs, I went, oh my God, right away. As soon as
Mm.
he even like got to the base of the step, like the bottom of the floor,
Yeah.
out of my peripheral, I saw a
Yeah.
little boy, and he was on a bike, and he was
Oh.
literally riding his bike in
Do 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 do
yeah,
do do
just
do. Oh my
riding.
God.
And I'm going, okay, we gotta go because I
Oh,
already
got
know
chills.
and
Ah.
he's gonna talk to me.
Yeah,
And
want
I
to
was
adopt me?
yeah, basically, he
Basically.
he basically went
Oh,
not like that, but he was
yeah.
like super excited. because he was like, "Oh my
There's
god,
a couple
like
that just came
somebody"
in.
yeah,
And she sees me.
yeah, and she sees
Oh.
me. And I was like, Dwayne, we have to go. We have to go."
Oh.
And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, there don't you see the little boy?" Because like sometimes Dwayne can too, or he
Yeah,
feels too,
right.
he's the same.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
he's like, "No, I don't." And I'm like, "Okay, well, he wants to come home with us, so we have to go.
Oh.
Like, we have
Oh.
to go." Or I didn't want him to attach, right? Because
No.
not
They
that like
can.
they
No,
can, and
it's just not good for them. I
no,
mean,
and I felt bad
oh,
because I know he's technically stuck there. And
yeah.
I just said to him, "I'm sorry, but I can't take you home. And that
No.
you do need to follow the light." And like there was lots of lights downstairs. So I just basically just said, "You need to follow the light." And I just
Yeah.
sent him love and healing and all that kind of stuff. And we left to go
Mhm.
back up on the main floor. And that's when the lady told me about how it used to be, what the building was like, and how there were people
Mm.
that lived in there, and,
Oh,
families and all this kinds of stuff. And I thought, oh,
poor
okay.
guy.
Yeah.
Poor
So,
feller.
yeah. So like, I
Oh,
mean, things like that do happen, and,
absolutely.
they are lingering. And,
Yeah.
yeah, so it does happen. But, there's, I know for myself, I was not in the place to
Mhm.
help him cross over. Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, I did have to leave him there. And
Mhm.
I haven't been back for a while in that building because after that experience, again, it was sort of like what it was like in the Value Village,
Right.
because there was
Really
so
intense.
much, yeah,
Yeah.
energy. And I had remember going to the vehicle because I was like, okay, I gotta go. Like I was
Yeah.
so dizzy. I thought I was gonna
Mm.
fall over. And
Yeah.
we went back to the vehicle, and I remember going like to eat breaths and just trying to
Yeah.
remember to like let go of all of the attachments that might have, followed me or anything like
Yeah.
that after that. So I haven't really been to an antique shop since then for a
Yeah.
while because of that. But
So a bit of a break.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I had a really ex crazy weird experience. I haven't really had I don't know if I've ever had an experience like this before, but
Mm-hmm.
I was at the hospital the other day visiting, and for some reason I was visiting, I think I went downstairs for to get a coffee or something maybe. And by the time I came back upstairs
Mm-hmm.
and I was standing at the end of the bed visiting,
Mm-hmm.
and I got the the floor beneath my feet
Yeah.
felt like waves.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I looked at my kids and I was like, do you feel that? The
Mm.
floor is moving in waves. Like it felt like the whole entire cement floor was just like moving.
Yep.
And my whole body was like shaking and like flowing. And I was like, oh my God. Like, so I like hung onto the end of the bed, the hospital
Yep.
bed, and I was just hanging on. I was like, oh my God. Like I felt like I was on a boat.
Yep.
And it was the weirdest thing because I felt the floor waving.
Move. Yeah.
It was
Mm-hmm.
so crazy. I was like, I'm okay. And I was like, just get back in your body. Let's just stay really grounded. And I was like, I think I need to go home. I think that's my
Yep.
cue. I've had enough. I've had enough today. And
Yep.
I needed to get out of there. But whew, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel
No.
any of that stuff. It was just
Yeah.
like wham. Oh
Yep.
wow, now we're in a boat. Like it was just like everything moved. And it
Mhm.
wasn't like vertigo and I wasn't just dizzy.
Yeah.
I felt literally if I could see the floor, it was moving. It was so crazy. I was just like,
Mhm.
wow, I never had that experience before, but
That's
it's kind of
cool.
cool. It
Yeah,
was
it
actually
is.
kind of cool, but I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, what's happening? What is going
Mhm.
to happen to me? Where am I going? Let's
Right.
just get out of here. I think
Yeah.
that's my cue. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just hung on to the bed until
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna get out of here. So because I couldn't
Mhm.
handle that
Yeah.
for very long.
Oh,
So
I
yeah.
mean, I I think it's so cool that happened, but at the same time,
Hmm.
I get that because uh
Oh, hospitals are too
that
much
has
for me.
happened to me before. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean by like even like that feeling of vertigo. It just feels like your whole body isn't stable at
Yeah.
all. And you're really just like
Well, and
Yeah,
I've had vertigo, and vertigo is
me
like, it's
too.
in my head. I
Yeah,
know in my head, I
yeah,
can't move my head very much because that's what makes
yeah,
me feel
but
unbalanced.
this was in your
This was the
body.
opposite.
I
It
know,
was
yeah.
like my
Mhm.
feet were waving, and I was like, whoa, because then my feet were going through vertigo. And the rest of
Mhm.
me was like, what is going on down here? This is weird.
Yeah,
I
but
was like,
that's
I just need to get out of here. I think it
yeah,
was just an overwhelm of
yes.
spirit coming around because I was just like, whoa, like all of a sudden it was just like, boom,
Yeah.
we're here. And it was just like, wow, it literally, like, I don't know where, if they were just trying to lift me off my feet, take me
Well
somewhere, or like lead
you
me
do
somewhere, or what, I don't
yeah,
know. But I was like, no, 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 I'm not here to work.
right.
I
Yeah.
am just a visitor.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even like I know like my son going through the hospital, he'll just like look because we're walking down the hallway and I'm like, and he goes, oh, and I go, don't look in the rooms because literally
Yep,
you will like feel and attach to everything everybody's feeling. And I said,
that's
I already did
right.
that once and went, oh yeah, don't do that. Yeah,
No.
remember? But you can't help
Mhm.
yourself. You just want to look at people and smile or like, because I don't know, I love
Yes.
people and I just want to
Yeah.
maybe make their day if they're just sitting there and I want to smile at them, but
Yeah.
I know better.
Oh, no,
I
I
just send
know.
them love as I walk by.
Yep.
This
Yep.
is like what you get. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it would be awesome for us to talk about
Mhm.
anxiety and
Yep.
also like relating that to being also what could be set, being sensitive as well. And
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
maybe opening up your awareness even more.
Yep.
And maybe for some of our listeners are going like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I think I've gone through something like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, it's just so cool.
It is,
It
and
really is. Like energy is so real, people. It's so real. All these things are so real. Oh my gosh. It's
and it
just
is, and
amazing.
also I wanted to mention was that, you know, we were talking about, Value Village and, you
Yeah.
know, antique places, graveyards or cemeteries, sorry, or hospitals
Yeah.
also have tons and tons of energy there.
Oh yeah.
There are people that go in there and that are sick, that do
Yeah.
pass away. And of course, their energy is going to stay there. And there's tons and tons of,
I know these places need to be cleared.
they do.
I think that's why people don't like going there. I think
Well,
people don't realize that that's what they're feeling. I mean,
yes.
some do, but maybe
Yeah.
some don't. And they're just
Right.
like, I don't know why, but I just don't like hospitals. They give me the heaves or makes
Right.
me feel sick or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, yeah, because you are literally feeling all
Yeah.
that stuff that's there and they don't clear this place.
That's right.
Also, there is a ton of machines in the hospital. And for me, I am super sensitive to electromagnetic frequency. So
Hmm.
for me, going into those places is like it's
Right.
a lot. I'm seriously drained.
Yeah.
I can put all the shungite in my pockets and like I'll do all the things, but I come home and I have to cleanse and I am
Mhm.
clearing and I'm laying on the floor and I am releasing and
Yeah.
like wrapped in my EMF blanket and like just I just
But I'm
I
just laugh
have to.
I
It's
know,
so
I'm not
hard.
laughing at you. It just came to my awareness of like saying
Yeah.
like, this is you guys are all gonna think I'm the weirdest person in the whole wide world, but because like I love cemeteries and all that, but I really do love hospitals too.
She does.
I
She actually wanted to
do.
be a nurse. Like, I
I
don't know why
do.
she's so drawn to that stuff. That's like, how some people have what is that? They have those things that like bring them thrill. Like they just like,
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
like
I love riding motorbikes because they're so fast and they just
it's
get my
like
adrenaline going,
thrill
right? Like you're just
taker
real like,
or risk taker or something. I don't
yeah,
know. I can't remember, but
that's
yeah,
Shelly. Shelly's
that's
big
me.
risk taker as a
But
Libra
in
is going to hospital
energy.
cemeteries, antique shops.
Honest to God,
What's
that's
wrong with
my
you?
thrill. I don't know why.
I know.
But I
I'm
will
just kidding.
draw
But
the
you know
line
what?
at haunted houses. That is my line.
Well, that's because that's a whole different energy.
I know.
But
But I was the
maybe
kid that
that's the
loved to go to
thrill
the
because
hospital.
as you were a kid, you were used to that kind of anxiety. So without even realizing, full
Yep.
circle moment here, without even
Right.
realizing, that's what's familiar to you.
Yep.
And this is why you're drawn to it.
Yep.
So, as we talked about anxiety at the beginning, how we can have triggers, and we
Hmm.
brought up our childhood,
Yep.
this is just kind of how it goes, right? And
That's
now
right.
Shelly loves it and thrives in it. But she had to experience one to the other, and it just all came full circle, and that is familiar
Yeah.
in a good way now.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
before, it
Hmm.
wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, like I still remember as a child, honestly, like I do remember as a child thinking the hospital was awesome. Honest to God, I loved it so much. Like
Yeah, didn't you want to be a candy striper?
I did do
Or
candy
did you do it?
striping. Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
did
thought
at
so.
the U of S. I can't even remember how old I was. I was like 12, I think, or something
Yeah.
like that. And I do remember
Candy striping was
doing
cool
that.
for those that remember it. For those that don't, it
Yeah.
was like a volunteering position for younger
Yeah.
kids who kind of wanted to be in the hospital setting and help
Yep.
out and maybe get a feel for it if it was a direction they wanted to go. And you got to
Yeah.
like assist, like
That's right.
magazines and I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
all those
I
things, all the
remember.
cute things.
Yeah, because what I used to have to do was to each patient, we would have to give them water or ice or just help them be comfortable. Like
Hmm.
Bev said, give them magazines if they wanted or whatever. And
Company
I loved
aid.
it so much. But,
Yeah.
and when I say but, it's because there was an experience that I had that one time as being a candy striper
Yeah.
that made me go, I don't think this is something that I can do, you know.
What
And
did you think? Sorry.
it's gonna sound
Oh
really
gosh.
bad, but
Yeah. It's
it
okay.
scared me as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you think, well, in my mind,
Hmm.
I was thinking this is just like such the coolest thing ever, and not thinking about the actual, you know,
Of
and
course
I
not.
don't want to say bad because it's not bad. It was just the reality of the
Hmm.
stuff that goes on at the hospital, okay, in people. And
For sure.
I had this gentleman who lost his voice box, and I had no idea.
Hmm.
And he had to use like a little tool to talk.
Right.
So he used to have to put like a
I remember it's kind of like a mic
a
or a
mic
speaker
or
thing or something
yeah,
that they would put at their trachea.
yeah.
And
And
so that
he
they would
talked to me
they'd
that
be able to
way.
talk. Yeah.
And as a young child, it did scare me a little
Scare you a
bit, but at
bit.
the same
Yeah.
time, it was so sad, right?
Oh, for
And
sure.
I realized then that I could not handle that. It wasn't
Right.
about him having the
The
machine or the
device.
trachea, nothing. It was about me feeling very empathetic that
Hmm.
with these people and knowing that I probably wouldn't be able to let go of them, because
Yeah.
I still to this day think about that moment,
Yeah.
and that person, and
Hmm.
that's what made
Teaching
me
moment.
go, no, yeah, like I
I'll
can't.
attach. I'll
Yeah,
absorb. I'll feel it. Yeah.
yeah.
And I
So
knew for sure like that's not a job for me. I can't.
yeah,
There's no
no,
way.
yeah,
And I'm so like I am grateful for all the people
me
that
too, that
can do
can.
all of that.
Yep.
And I
Hmm.
love even assisting them when they come for sessions and I just
Yes,
clear everything
me
and all that.
too.
But I'm just like, I'm so grateful for you to be able to
Yes,
handle all that because but
yeah,
there are people that look at me and go, I couldn't handle what you do,
exactly.
and it's like, yeah, we
Yeah,
all have our role to play. So
exactly. And that's it. And I still do love hospitals, but I'm very
yeah,
cautious now, right? Because I
yeah,
don't want to, again, like what Bev said, you don't look in the rooms,
I
you don't
can't.
want, yeah, you
I'm
can't do
like,
that.
it's just sad. I
Yeah,
can't.
I can't. Yeah.
Oh,
What really gets me is the children's part. I
hmm.
can't.
I was
And I
just
used
gonna
to have to
say, when I
take
hear
our
a kid
daughter.
crying, I'm like,
Oh,
ah.
I
But they
know.
have the children's hospital
Yeah.
now. We have a new one, so
Yeah,
it's kind of on the
yeah.
other side. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily hear or see all the little children,
Yeah.
which I think
Yeah.
helps me
Definitely.
going there right
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, all walks of life, still hard.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like we said earlier, there are different ways of different energies that can
Yeah.
cause, different feelings. It can be feeling like an anxiety and things like
Hmm.
that, but just know that a lot of these things are normal. Like,
Yeah. You're feeling things. That's
mhm,
normal for sure.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to change a little bit of awareness, help
Hmm.
you maybe feel like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to feel this way.
That's right.
Um, I
Yep.
don't know, maybe it'll help you moving forward when maybe you have these feelings when you go to hospitals or different places like that. And
Yeah.
so, maybe that awareness now going, oh, okay, maybe
Yeah.
I'll just protect myself, or maybe I'll clear
Exactly.
myself when I leave this place, or maybe I should just not go to those places,
Correct.
or
I mean,
whichever.
I
But
mean, eventually, yes, we all have to go to these places
mm,
eventually,
well, for
you
sure,
know?
hospitals are
Yeah,
definitely cemeteries at some point.
that's what I mean,
So,
So I also want to say, because they're telling me, like, yes, you can't, it's not that you can't avoid them,
oh,
but at
for
the same
sure,
time, like, just really like what Bev said, just maybe try to remember to protect yourself,
for
or
sure.
what
Well,
have
all
you.
information that we're trying to share, or is not to scare anybody
No,
ever. I
no,
never want to
no.
have that intention of trying to scare somebody.
Hmm.
I just want to educate people,
That's
because
right.
the more knowledge and awareness that you have, the better
Hmm.
you can move through life, honestly. And
Yeah,
it's just to have the awareness.
yeah.
So it's definitely not meant to scare you in any way.
No, no, not at all. So,
So
yeah.
so we
So,
hope that that helps you
yeah,
today with,
yeah,
maybe something that you have experienced or have been experiencing, or might experience in the
that's right.
future. So
Yeah.
hopefully that all brings you a little bit of new awareness.
Yes.
I have to say, I was like, oh, so many times I wanted to squirrel off while we were talking. I was like,
I,
for those that are not watching, Shelly and I both have straight hair today, which I was like, hey, I totally squirreled off halfway through. And I was like, oh, we both have straight hair today. And I was about to blurt it out. And I went, stop yourself. Don't squirrel. Stay on track. And yeah. And then I noticed Shelly as the Libra, just like doing what other people can do, like absorb it. And Shelly, I was holding my hands. You can't see on the screen. I was holding my hands on my desk together, like my fingers, and Shelly's has hers up in the air, and she's talking, and then she opens it and then holds them together. And I was like, oh, Shelly. And now she's laughing again so hard.
it's just, it's funny, but it's not funny, but it's
And we're also
funny,
like in that new moon of Libra. Like
right?
Shelly's just like, woo.
Well, it's funny
It's
because
so
like every
funny.
time we connect, like we get together, I mean, we're always connected anyway, but it's just like, it just
Yeah.
seems to amplify.
It's so funny. We'll show up on screen. We'll even just like texting, okay, ready. We'll show up on screen. It's like sometimes we're wearing the same thing,
Yeah. I
or we'll
was
both have
going
our
to
hair
wear
curly, or
white
we'll both have our
earlier
hair
and
up.
I was like, no, I'm not going to wear white.
No, I don't want to wear what Bev's wearing, and I'm wearing white. Shelly's wearing navy or black and
I'm
white with
black
white
and white
stripes.
today.
So, but yeah, totally
Yeah.
just like tuning into each other. So we're tuning in
Hmm.
before we even get on here.
That's
So,
right.
which I'm sure you'd
Yeah.
find will happen in your life too. But
Hmm.
anyway, so we
Yes.
thank you so
Yeah.
much for tuning in with the Empath Sisters today.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with us talking about anxiety, and hopefully it's brought you some new awareness moving
Mhm.
forward. We are so grateful for you, and we are sending
Yes.
you all love, light, and gratitude wherever this may find you today.
Yes. Take
Bye,
care,
everybody.
everyone.
Take care.